Hey guys, it's Miss Megan, and this is our Sunday school lesson for Sunday, May 10th. So I am excited to have this time with you, and we are going to be moving to the book of Numbers. So we've been in Leviticus, and now we're going to be in the book of Numbers. And so our lesson today is that Israel rejected God's provisions. And our central truth is that God punished those who did not trust in him. Our key verse for today is that from Numbers chapter 11, verse 1, and it says, "And the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes, and when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled." So we've talked about how God brought the Israelites out of Egypt, and now they're in the desert trying to go to the promised land. And God set up some rules and things that he wanted them to do for their own good, for their own protection. Because remember, they've been in prison as slaves with the Egyptians for hundreds of years. So they don't know how to run a society. They don't know how to make rules for themselves. They don't really know how to be on their own at this point. So God has set up some things for them that are really good for them. But just like you and I, when we have rules that we don't like, they start to complain and things go really badly for them today in our lesson. So let's think back to what God has done for them so far. So God sent Moses and Aaron to Pharaoh, saying, "Let my people go." He didn't want to listen. He didn't want to lose all of his workers and his slaves. So he said, "No way, I'm not letting your people go." So God sent the plagues. The Nile turned to blood. He sent frogs. He sent lice. He sent flies. He killed all the animals that were there for their farms. He put boils or like sores on all of the Egyptians. He sent hail to ruin their farms. He sent grasshoppers. He turned everything dark. And finally, the firstborn sons of all the Egyptian families and those who did not listen to God and did not put the blood of the lamb on their door, they were killed, and including Pharaoh's own son. And so after the firstborn sons of all the Egyptians were killed, Pharaoh finally said, "Okay, get out of here. I don't want you here." But then he changed his mind, didn't he? So the people left and they were on their way out, and he changed his mind and he started chasing them. And so God parted the Red Sea so that the people could cross quickly, and then that's how they were able to escape Pharaoh's army. And so God had done all of these amazing things. And then just a little bit later, the people had forgotten about this. They were starting to complain. They forgot about all the good things God had done. God had sent manna, which is like a sweet bread from the sky, raining from the sky, so that they could have something to eat every day, even out in the desert. I don't know if you've ever been in the desert, but there's not a lot of food out there. But God took care of them anyways and gave them food. But they started to complain about the food that God was raining from the sky. And so eventually they started saying, "Again? I don't want this again. I don't want this every single day, even though this is a gift from God." And so then the people started to say, "Well, Egypt was way better than this. We got all the food we wanted." Egypt? The place where they were slaves, the place that they had to work all day. They were whipped, they were beaten, they weren't given any freedoms. The place where a mother had to put her baby in a basket and send it down the river because the king had started killing all the babies. They wanted to go back there. Can you imagine being so whiny that you want to go back to something like that instead of the manna that raining from the heaven? Oh my goodness. But they started complaining, and I don't know if you're like me, but complaining doesn't always get us what we want, does it? You can see these, I love these pictures of these little kiddos whining. This picture, I used to do this, and I'm sure that you guys have done this to your parents in the past, especially that little girl on the floor there. It's so funny. But does this ever get us what we want? Does crying and whining work for us? Not usually. No, it doesn't work. It didn't work for the Israelites either. So God knew he had to teach them another lesson. He had to remind them of what he had done for them when he brought them out of Egypt. And so he burned the outside edges of their camp. And so they were kind of stuck for a little bit. He was trying to teach them, he's trying to protect them from all around them. They were so complaining about the food, he started raining quail from the sky. Quails are little birds, and they started falling out of the sky, and the people said, "Oh yeah, this is what we wanted. See, God, we just needed something different from you." But you know what happened? They gathered all the quail and they ate it, and then they got really, really sick because God was trying to show them, "I knew what was best for you before. You thought you knew what was good, but you didn't." this is not what you needed. You needed my perfect manna from heaven. And so I taught you another lesson. And so the Israelites just kept messing up and messing up and messing up, just like we do. And this is one of the reasons that the Israelites had to wander in the desert for 40 years. They made a lot of mistakes that put them in that situation where they had to wander. But this is one of the big reasons, is that they kept forgetting what God had done for them, and that they needed to depend on God, and that He was the only reason they had even left Egypt in the first place. Without God, none of that could have happened. They would have still been slaves. And so sometimes God has things happen to us for a reason, so that we can learn to trust only on Him and know that there's nothing we can do for ourselves that is as good as what God has planned for us. So we shouldn't fight Him on that. We shouldn't fight the things that God is asking us to do. So let's go ahead and look at our craft for today. I am going to move inside and work on our craft because all my craft supplies are inside. I just wanted to do the lesson outside today because it's so beautiful today. All right, so let's look at our craft. Okay, so for our craft today, we are making quail. So you have these sheets that are found on our Google Drive that you can print off. And then you're going to need a brown paper bag, like a lunch bag, or you can always just make it out of paper too. That's not a big deal. So you're going to cut out all of these pieces of paper, the verse and the two wings. And when you are done cutting those out, you are going to glue the verse to the bottom of the bag, like this. And then you're going to glue the wings to the side, because basically we're turning this whole bag into a bird. So you're going to glue the wings to the side like this. And then you're going to draw a little bird face. And I'm not a good drawer. You all know this. This is why we have Miss Bess around. Miss Bess is great at craft. She's great at a lot of things, but she's very good at crafty things. So I wish Miss Bess was doing this right now. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to draw a little beak like this. And then I'm going to draw a couple eyes. I'm going to make mine pretty simple so that we don't waste too much time here. So after you're done with that, drawing a face on, and you want to make sure you draw it on the side that kind of flips over like this. Then you have your quail puppet. And so this is like the quail that came out of the sky that God sent to the Israelites. All right. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.